What's up, everyone? It is your girl GELBEAUTY 7 here, aka Grace, and it is time for the swatch party, honey. So I told you we were gonna do a swatch party with all of my Dede collab palettes. So here we are. I want to swatch and compare some of the collabs and see if some of them have similar tones and all that, and to help you kind of, I guess, figure out which of the new ones you should get based upon whatever old ones you already have. So I thought it'd just be something fun to do. I don't really do swatches that often, so I figured, you know, why not try it this time? So without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm gonna start off with the original set, which of course is Tina's and Annette's palette. So we'll start off with the old versus new. We'll start with Annette and her old versus new. So we'll do Giant Wolves and Mighty Monsters. I'm gonna see if we have any that we can compare to any other ones just to start off with before I just start swatching stuff. So this is what both of them look like. If you're not aware, yes, I am holding one backwards, mind your business. I just picked up the best way I could. So from what I'm seeing, I want to swatch some of the purples because it seems like that pinkish purple and the purple might be similar, but it doesn't seem like too much of anything else is, thank goodness. I'm always happy when I see stuff like that because that means they're not the same. So I'm gonna take Electrum from the new palette to start off with. So Electrum is from Mighty Monsters, and then I'm gonna take Astral, I believe is how you say it, from the original Giant Wolves. This is from Annette's new palette, Mighty Monsters. This is from Giant Wolves. So as you can see, they're giving similar vibes. One of them seems to be more glittery, like the new one seems like it's more of that glittery, ethereal type formula that McGrath has put in some of her palettes recently, and it's just a lot of sparkle and shine, whereas her original one just seems to be more of like a goldish cream metallic, if you will. So those two are not the same. And then I'm gonna swatch some of my favorite shades in here, like, because each palette they make has special shades in each time. So I'm gonna swatch each special shade from the old one to the new one to see what the differentiation is with those things that are going on. Like her original shade, her original special shade is called Ethereal, and her new one is called Glow Vortex. But I want to swatch Ouroboros. I hope that's how I say it correctly. I hope I said that correctly. I'm taking Ouroboros from Mighty Monsters, and I'm going to take her shade Eternal from her original palette because in the pan they look similar, but I want to see how similar they look when you actually swatch them. Okay, so they're not similar at all. But this is Ouroboros, and this is Eternal. And the pan they look the same, but like when I turn my hand this way, this one switches to like a green, and then when you turn head on, it's giving more of like a pinkish type tone. So they're not the same at all. Now I'm gonna swatch Glow Vortex from her new palette to see how the two special shades are similar. Okay, so these are the two special shades right here. Wow, they look actually quite similar. It's kind of creepy. These actually look quite similar. I'm not gonna say they're exact, but they do look very similar. Like when I turn my hand and you see them this way versus seeing them like this, I feel like they really give a similar shift. So I find that interesting. They're not exact, they're just similar. So just bear that in mind. None of the neutrals she picked were in the original palette, because y'all know she wasn't really into neutrals then. So we'll get into some of the mattes that I feel like look similar now that I've swatched all of the shimmers, because I know the shimmers I feel like look similar. I guess we could do Serpent Scale up against Hair, even though, sorry, Flare. So I'll take Serpent Scale, that's from the Mighty Monsters palette. It's a stunning shade. It's one of my favorites in there. And then I'm going to take Flare, which is just a kind of classic green, if you will. So this is what is this? Serpent Scale, and this is Flare. As you can see, this has more of like a bluish purple glittery shift to it, whereas this is just a classic, like, you know, green metallic shade. So that pretty much concludes all that we have to compare when it comes to Annette's palette, besides that one purple I wanted to compare. So I wanted to compare the purple shade Affliated up against the shade Ablaze. I know they're not going to be the same because to me Ablaze gives more of a fuchsia vibe, and this is more of like a true traditional purple. But I'm here, you're here, we're all here, y'all know the drill. We all here, I'm just go ahead and swatch the stuff. So we're all here, so I'm just go ahead and swatch the stuff. Yay! I'll try to see if I can remember to put chapters on these so you'll know like what is where depending on whose palette you're looking for. So yeah, so as you can see, this is the fuchsia shade from the original palette of Blaze, and this is the purple from Mighty Monsters. So the only things I felt like looked really similar were like these two, and and then the champagne shade, but this is, like I said, more glittery and all that. So here is the next palettes, both old and new. Remember, we all started off swatching the new shades, and then we went into the older shades. But that's what we're working with when it comes to the next palette. Let me wipe this off real quick. Put all the new ones on. And make sure I wipe my fingers well too, so we don't contaminate anything going on in Tina's palette. Because next we're gonna get into the Hummingbird and the Earthwood palette. I've been meaning to do these for a while so I can take them home and use them. Because I actually have not been doing these palettes since that video, because I had to film this video and I didn't want to drag all this stuff back home and drag it back out again. So I was like, we have to do it today because I have to be able to use my palettes. Like, this is not okay. Tina can't be held hostage over here. So here's what both of them look like. As you can see, they're not giving the same vibes at all. I feel like she did a good job of changing the variation of one palette to another one. I will swatch some shades that I like, but none of them are going to be exact, and I'm loving that for us. We love Tina because we didn't want to have a similar tone. So I'm going to start off with, I guess I'll do Petal up against Star Apple because they look pretty similar. So I figured we start off with some matte this time. So this is Petal from her new palette Earthwood. But from what I remember, the undertones of them were different. Because I think I swatched them for you all when I used them in the video. I think, don't quote me. Yeah. So this is from Earthwood, this is Petal, and that's Star Apple. As you can see, this one has a deeper purplish undertone to it. And to me, this gives more of a grayish purple undertone. So I feel like they're different in that sense. Even though they might look the same in the pan initially, this gives more of a wine burgundy purple, and this gives more of a deep grayish purple type vibe, in my personal opinion. Let's see, what else do we have that's similar? I feel like there's not too much of anything else that's similar in these palettes, like I said, which I'm so excited about. I will swatch her special shade Beauty, even though it's not going to be the same as the shade Feathers, but in the pan they look the same, so I want people that see it in the pan to know that it's not going to be the same on the eyes, even though it looks the same as Feathers in the pan. So I just swatched Beauty, because Beauty is her special shade in this palette, and then I swatched the shade Feathers. So here is Beauty right here. As you can see, it's orange when you look at it, even though you see it green in the pan, and then when you turn it, it gives more of a green effect. I don't know if you all can see or not, but it's definitely giving a green effect. And this is just a classic, like, bright limeish green shimmer. So they are not the same. They are not the same at all. And I'm here for it. I'm really here for it. Let me see. I guess we can do the shade Coast up against Tropics, because Coast is more of a mint shade, and the Tropics is more of like a, I guess, like a deep oceanish type blue. But I'll swatch them side by side again just so people to see like they're not the same. They may look the same, but they're not. If anything, I feel like it's more of a sheer shade. The shade Coast is sheerer than the shade Tropics. Tropics, I feel like it's a little bit more pigmented, if you will, and has a little bit more deeper pigmented base. To me, Coast is more of a topper. As you can see, this is Coast and this is Tropics. So Tropics, like I said, is definitely more pigmented and has more of a base. And Coast is more of, like, to me, just a topper and a quarter type shade. Like if you like an ethereal type shimmer on the lid of your eye, then I feel like that would be good for you. And then of course I have to swatch the shade Fancy because, you know, it's here, I'm here, you're here, we're all here. And then I'll go ahead and swatch the shade Hibiscus up against Life, even though we can both clearly see that they are not the same at all. And then we move on to the next palette. So I have to swatch Beauty. I mean, swatch Fancy though, because it's just so, well, fancy, ha ha ha. So this is the shade Fancy right here. And again, I feel like when you initially look at them, the undertones like look the same, but when you put it on that hand, it's completely different. Because if you all remember, this is the shade Beauty right here. That's her new one, and then this is Fancy right here. So let me swatch those next to each other so you can see. Do a better job with Fancy. My Fancy has quite a dip in it because I just love it so much. But this is Fancy and this is Beauty, and we'll put Beauty up there up against Feather so you can see that they were not the same. But I only have one more set of shades to swatch. Then I need to go get another battery because I have filmed a couple of videos now. We're on video number 3 and the battery's like it can't take them. So I'm gonna swatch the shade Life and the shade Hibiscus, and then I'll go wipe this stuff off my hands after I show it to you all again. So you can pause the video or whatever, and then I will get a new battery and go on to the next. So I swatched Life first, and then I swatched Hibiscus. So this is Life and this is Hibiscus. As you can see, they are not similar by a long shot at all. They definitely have different tones to them. And these are all the swatches from Tina's palette. So this one we're working with. I gotta go get a new battery, y'all, and probably wash my hands instead of trying to continuously use the makeup remover wipes because there's glitter on my fingers now. And then we will get into the ones from the what is this, the Planet Spirit collection. I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, so sorry, I probably shouldn't touch up what's on my eyes. I have on the Fenty Cosmetics Wizard palette. I got it in the mail Thursday, and I brought it over here, but I did not get to film with it till today, which is Saturday. So anyway, back to the Planet Spirit palette. Here's how she looks on the inside. I'm gonna see if I can compare it to any of the palettes we've gone along the way with, so that way we can see if they have similar colors or anything like that for anyone who's interested. So I have them kind of spread out, they're not open, but when I look at Betty Jeans, I'm like, I want to see how similar her pinks and greens are to Tina's palette, so we will definitely be swatching those. And then I want to see if there's, let me check and see if there's any similar colors in this one. Okay, so there's no similar colors in her new palette, but in her original palette, Hummingbird, I definitely feel like they're similar. That's why I paired both of these together. I planned on doing that again in the future, but let's just start by swatching Betty Jean's palette up against Tina's palette. So I'm gonna swatch the shade Sanctuary from Betty Jean. That's this pinkish one right here. I want to swatch it against Hibiscus and see how similar they are. So Hibiscus is definitely getting a more deeper red than Betty Jean's is. Obviously Betty Jean's is getting a more pinkish one because that's what we're working with. So as you can see, they are not similar. I wanted to make sure and show everybody they weren't though, because some people, you know, feel some type of way. I kind of want to swatch her reddish shade Animalia, because I feel like it might look similar to some people as Swallowtail, the orange shade. So we'll do that one next. Hers is more of like, has a red kind of pigmented base underneath it though, but I have put it on the eyes, and on the eyes it does definitely give a little bit more orange. So I figured I'd go ahead and show you all that they're still not the same, even though they look like they could be similar. So this is Animalia right here. As you can see, it has a reddish base underneath it with glitter sparkles, if you will, and Tina's is Swallowtail, and it's just giving more of an orange metallic effect. As you can see, it's quite bright on my hand back there. So I don't think they have any other shades that are similar. We can swatch Tropics up against the shade Familiar. For those of you interested, I'm trying to swatch anything I think might be similar to be helpful, to help you with whose palette you would prefer. Now, if you already have this one, this might help you decide if you want to get Betty Jean's or not, because you'll be looking at it because you like color like I do. Because I think she said hers is still in stock when she did the video on Tina, Annette's, and Judy. So I swatched Familiar, and now I'm swatching the shade Tropics. Okay, so this is Familiar from Betty Jean's palette, and this is Tropics from Tina's original palette, Hummingbird. So these are the ones that I felt like look similar in this palette. I don't think there's any, well, we can swatch the purples too now I think about it. We'll swatch Kendrick, and of course the shade Hummingbird. So Kendrick is from Betty Jean's palette. And I already see now her purple is much brighter than Tina's. Tina's is definitely a deeper purple. But you know, again, I was here, you were here, everyone was here. So I was like, let's swatch it. So this is Kendrick from Betty Jean's palette, and this is Hummingbird from Tina's palette, which is the name of the palette. So these are all the shades I feel like might be similar in those palettes that I want to show you all. So that's all we got out of this palette. And I'll swatch both their special shades because I told you I'm just swatching all the special shades. The special shades in these palettes to me are like just so stunning and lovely that I always want to swatch them or use them whenever I use the palette. So it's hard for me to use one of their palettes and not use the special shade. It's just impossible. So her special shade is called Fauna. So we started with Betty Jean's special shade. This is it right here. Go ahead and swatch it. And swatch it against, of course, we know the original shade is called Fancy, and then the new shade is called Beauty. So I'm swatching it against Fancy. this is Fauna right here, and then this is the shade Fancy. So the undertones look similar, but it's like when you turn your head, they're different. Like Tina's shifts a little bit deeper greener than Baddie Beans. But here are all the shades compared to that one. Now let's see if we have any to compare to either one of the next palettes. I feel like we're not necessarily going to be anything. We could compare like the green shade that has from palette, the new palette, Mighty Monsters, but I didn't see any shades similar in both palettes. Compared to this, because this is more peach and her is more orange, and then the other shade is more peachy and this is more peach and the rose more orange. I didn't see anything in her palette compared to similar either, because hers is more deeper, grungier toned. So there's nothing here. But like I said, with Mighty Monsters, I kind of just want to try this shade right here against Betty Jean's green. And then like the orange shade in here called Midgard Gleam, I'll try up against Betty Jean's orange, which is called Majestic. So I'm going to start off with the shimmers and then we'll do the mattes last. So I'm going to start off with Majestic, and it's going to go against Midgard Gleam. So now remember, from the orange shade on out, it's going to be Annette's palette and the what do you call it? Oh, looks nice. Yeah, they're not the same though, because that has a shift to it. Okay, so this is this is Majestic, and this is Midgard Gleam. As you can see, they're not similar at all. This one actually has like a purplish bluish shift to it, even though, and green, even though it starts off looking orange and really similar to this palette. If I shifted my hand, I know you all can't see here, but like if you saw it in the pan, then you see what I'm talking about. I'll try to go outside and take pictures of these and do like a little reel to put over my face when I get done doing all this, and then we'll start on the next one. So we're going to swatch, what is it? Oh yeah, we're supposed to be swatching Fauna up against Glow Vortex, and then we'll get into the deep ones. I want to get all the shimmers out of the way. So I'm going to do Fauna up against Glow Vortex, because they're supposed to be like, you know, the special shades. So again, here is Fauna against Glow Vex. This one has definitely a deeper tone of green to it when you shift. This one seems to be more lime. This one seems to be more like a bluish green, if you will. So that's what we're working with there. So the last one we have to swatch are the two greens. So we'll take Kingdom and the other one and work that out. So hopefully it won't be too loud outside because it's bright outside, so I'm gonna get the video outside with lots of pictures. So as usual, I did Betty Jean first, and then I'm doing Antoinette 11. Oh, sorry, not Antoinette, Annette. I know somebody named Antoinette, that's why I keep saying Antoinette. Sorry. So this is the green shade Kingdom, and then this is Annette's shade. So as you can see, from this part down is Antoinette's palette, and from the purple up is Tina and Baddie Beans palette. So as you can see, they have really similar tastes. Tina and Baddie Bean when it comes to color, because they had quite a few shades that were similar, but they were like the bright shade. And then when it came with Annette's, it was more of the shimmer shades that they had in common in like one somewhat deeper tone shade. So I'm gonna go do a little reel outside real quick to put over my face, and then we'll come back and get into the Sea Talk palette. I don't think I'm gonna have many that have anything in common with it, but we'll get to it in a second. I hope that reel was okay for your viewing pleasure. Yeah, so next we have the Sea Talk palette. I don't feel like I'm gonna find anything. If anything, I find something in Annette's Monsters palette, but I don't think anybody else's palette is gonna have anything that's similar to this one, just because, you know, it's quite neutral-esque, if you will. but we're gonna swatch what we can. So of course I'm gonna take the 2 nude shades from Net's palette versus the 2 nude shades in this palette. So we have Dolphin Tail. I'm gonna start off with that from Sea Talk. It just seems to be a more taupey-ish, neutral type tone, and I'm gonna put it up against CBTS. It's just some initials. That's the only thing I have to compare it to, and that one's gonna be way lighter. And then I'll just take it against the deeper one as well too. Because I feel like the Net's deepest one isn't gonna be the same undertone as the other one. So this starts off with Dragon Tail. Then this is the BTS that I told you all about. And then this is a Net's deepest shade, which is Ambassy, I believe it says that. And then we're gonna take the deepest shade from her palette, which is Driftwood. So I'm swatching Driftwood. And I knew it wasn't gonna be the same as the one in Annette's palette. So this is Driftwood. As you can see, it's giving more. It's like a red, warm tone vibe. So I feel like you try to combine warm and cool tones for people who like neutrals, and then give a few pops of color here and there. So that's what we're working with when it comes to her palette. So that's what it looks like. Get my new makeup removal wipe. I had so much glitter on the first one, and I feel like I'm still gonna need one more after that because we still have to do all of Angie's palettes I need to get done with Betty Bean Lauren and Makeup Just for Fun's collection. So let me see what else we got here. So I don't think any of the shimmers are the same. Hers definitely look like they're deeper, if you will. But I will let me see. Can I swatch this one? I don't see too much anything else that's similar. Her shade is more navy blue, and we know Annette's is more of that bluish green undertone to it. The purple shimmer isn't gonna match the shimmer because it's giving a little more blue undertone to it. So I don't feel like her palette really matches up with anybody else's, which I guess is a good thing. Because if you like these type of tones, you're only gonna have one neutral that might be similar to this one, that's not still exact. So I'm gonna swatch the 2 middle shades though, because those are the most exciting shades in this palette, the Electric Kelp. I definitely think that's like her best shade in her palette. And then there's that Iridescent Shell, which is one I've used a lot as well. The only downside of this is like when you look at it, it's pink, but then when you actually swatch it out, it's like a blue purple. So that's what always disappoints me when I use this, because it's like it's giving more blue purple. It's not giving the actual pink that I'm looking at. That kind of makes me sad. I guess we'll swatch it against the purple one since we have that. So I swatched it against the purple shade in the next palette. As you can see, it looks purple on camera, but they both shift and change shades, so it's not going to be the same. And then I'll swatch the Glow Vortex just because, you know, I'm swatching everybody's special shade, so I'll swatch the Glow Vortex after that. So that's pretty much what we're working with. There's not too much in anybody's palette that compares to her, so I will say she did have the most unique one out of everybody when it came to that. Her and Makeup Just for Fun. Makeup Just for Fun was my second favorite because y'all know those are the type of tones that I prefer when it comes to it. So we didn't have much to do there. I think we might have a little bit more because I feel like a good majority of everybody's palette has a purple one. Just hers is more purple and green based. I feel like we can compare it a little bit more to the other palettes that are already out. But here's all we had to compare from Annette and Lauren May Beauty, or Lauren May Beauty to Annette's palette, because that's the only one I could compare it to, because everybody else chose not to do neutrals. So now we'll do the floor stories. So here's what it looks like, just in case you forgot. I'm feeling like a lot of the purples and greens that I was pulling earlier we can pull again. So I kind of want to compare her green to Baddie Beans green, even though I feel like Baddie Beans is more emerald and hers is more like that blue green vibe of glitters and whatnot. But we're gonna compare them. Let me see. I'm trying to look it up now to see if there's anything else. All the people trying to keep calling me y'all. I'm sorry, I don't know who the world this is. Okay, so I'll swatch the purple in Annette's palette. I'll swatch the purple in Tina's palette. Is there a purple in Tina's palette? Well, the purple in Tina's palette leans more gray, and hers doesn't lean gray. Hers is actually like a true purple. So I'll just stick to the purple in Annette's palette for right now. I don't see anybody with a deeper purple that matches her deeper purple. Well, I think Annette's Giant Wolf might have one. No, that purple doesn't match this purple either. it looks like the person who matches her palettes the most are Annette's, based on the purples and the greens I'm looking at. So I'm gonna start off with the green shimmer from her palette, which is called Lush. So I'm swatching Lush, and I'm gonna swatch it up against Kingdom from, sorry, it's not Kingdom, it's Familia. Kingdom is the, what do you call it? The matte. So here are them. This is Lush, and then this is Familiar from Baddie Beans palette. So those are the two similar ones I could find. I don't think I have any other purples, any other greens that work with that one. The next green I'll be swatching is like Flare from Annette's palette. That's the original one. Everybody else has greens that look like should look like these. Yeah. Make sure to use up the palette. Okay, now. So no other greens are matching. So we'll take the green from here. It's called Misty. It's actually giving more mint vibe, but I know the mint in Tina's palette isn't gonna match it because it's much brighter than this one. But I guess I'll go ahead and swatch it because I'm here, you're here, we're all here. So we'll swatch Tina's mint first. That's the shade Coast. It's actually looking more similar than I expected it to. Okay. And then we'll take the shade Flare from Annette's palette alongside Best Buds from Makeup Just for Fun's palette. So, yeah, Best Buds. Yeah, I'll think I have 3 more palettes because I'm reminding myself like, Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus. So everything is swatching lighter than it looks in the pan. That's interesting. So I think I'm going to take it against the shade Astral now that I'm seeing that. But Astral, from what I remember, is more yellow tones, so it's still not going to be exact. Yeah, so here are the shades. This is the shade Misty up against Coast from Tina's palette. And then this is the shade Best Buds up against Astral from Annette's original palette, the Giant Wolves. And then I have to swatch her purple against Annette's purple, and then we'll do the special shades and move on to the next set of palettes, which will be all of Angie's palettes. So we'll be doing Hella, Trick or Treat, and Little Ghost. So let's start off with her purple. I'm gonna just swatch both her purples because I know I don't have one to match the lighter one, but I'd have to put like Tina's lavender one up against it, and I feel like that would be a lot. So I think I'm just gonna, yeah, so her purple shade is called Orchard. Let me grab Annette's real quick, which is still lighter in tone. So here is Orchard, and then this is Annette's shade. And yeah, I'm just going all type of crazy angles on my arm. But I tried to halfway turn it so I can get the majority of them where you could visibly see them perfectly. Y'all know I don't want to do swatch videos, so I'm over here like a whole nother element, like what is going on, I don't understand. And then we gotta swatch the shade Dawn. And that's her special shade right there at the bottom called Dawn. So remember, we stopped with right here when it came to the original palette from Sea Talk from Lauren May Beauty, and the rest of these swatches are from Makeup Just for Fun palette. So that's all I have with you. I'm gonna go outside and do my reels again in the sunlight, and then we will get into the last set of palettes, which are Angie or Adriangameover. Let's end off this video. I hope the swatch has been looking okay. I tried to get outside in natural light so you can see it looking natural light versus underneath these lights, but your girl. So let's get into these palettes. So I think I'm gonna cut it short, and I might only do like 2 more videos and not do any more eye looks. I'm thinking that's what I'm thinking, because I have Tuesday off and I can do my eye looks Tuesday night. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But anyway, so this is what the Hella palette looks like, if you all forgot, because this one is discontinued. But I feel like the Flora palette has a decent amount of similar tones to it, so I figured I'd start with this one because it's the one I feel like has the most. And then I will swatch the pink in Betty Bean's Planet Spirit palette against the pink in this palette, just to see, because there's a couple of pinks in here. So matter of fact, I'll start off with this one because there's only one to choose from here. And Betty Bean's palette is the shade Rescue, so we're going to swatch. It's the shade Goddess, it's the shade Rescue, just to see the difference. I can already see though, like one shade is going to be deeper than the other one. So, and Angie's palette is definitely gonna be deeper than Betty Bean's, because hers is like more brighter tones. So just want to start off by saying that. However, I will swatch her deeper shade, which is called Sanctuary as well, so you can kind of get an idea. Even though I felt like Sanctuary was like more berryish pink red than more of a traditional pink like Angie's palette. So yeah, this is Angie's palette at the top. As you can see, it's getting more fuchsia. Then this is Sanctuary, which is, I'm sorry, this is Rescue, which is giving more of a lighter traditional pink. And then this is Sanctuary, that's just giving more of the like reddish strawberry pink, in my personal opinion. So as you can see, none of the pinks look the same. I didn't expect them to look the same, but I figured obviously if we were here, everyone was here, so we would swatch all of them and see how that goes. Now I know for a fact Annette doesn't have any pink. She did more like the red type of undertone, if you will, so we're not gonna worry about that. I do have a lip swatch video coming too, but I think I'm gonna just make that be a shorts as opposed to an actual like video, because I feel like that'll take way too long if we try to add that in here. You try to swatch all these palettes, girl. So yeah, none of the other palettes have similar tones when it comes to the pinks. Now, when it comes to the neutrals, I feel like Annette's palette might have some of those, so maybe we should get her out the way too. I'm trying to think, see though. No, that shade doesn't look as similar as I thought. Well, since she has like this deepest purple shade called Soot, I figure we can put Soot against all the other palettes that have those deeper dark tones to them. So that would include Tina's palette, because if you all remember, Tina's palette has that deep shade Star Apple that I feel like would look really similar to Angie's. So I'm gonna do Star Apple, and then I'll do Howling from Annette to see which ones look similar. But I feel like Star Apple's gonna be our winner as far as the most similar to this one. So we'll start with Star Apple. So we started off with Soot from Angie's palette. Then we got Star Apple from Tina's palette. And we got Howling from Annette's palette. So Annette's is the one that's giving the most purple to it. This is Angie's palette with Soot. This is Star Apple from Tina's palette. And then this is Howling from Annette's palette. So this is Giant Wolf. This is Hummingbird. This is Hella. So I feel like they're all giving like burnished purples, but the most purple is definitely Annette's palette. That's the one that's giving the most just true purple, if you will. And then Tina and Angie's are giving similar like vibes. Well, okay, y'all, batteries are flashing again, y'all. I don't know why. Then she has these more yellowish type tones. So I'm trying to get all the tones out the way that I don't feel like will be similar in any of the other palettes. So the yellowish type undertone, as far as the green goes, I feel like the shade Decay is really similar to Anthropy from Annette's Giant Wolf, so we're gonna do that now. And then I'll swatch it later with, what do you call it, palette. So it was giving similar tones in the pan when you look at it, but Angie starts pulling way more gray after you swatch this. So this is Angie's at the top, and this is Annette's from Giant Wolf at the bottom. As you can see, it pulls much darker once you like blend it out. So that's just something to keep in mind. I want to do the greens too, because Annette has a green called Desolate. So I start off with Angie's green first, now that I know that they oxidize, or remember that they oxidize. And these aren't going to be similar either. Wow, okay. So this is Angie's palette, the original green, and then this is Desolate from Giant Wolves. So my battery is flashing again, y'all. So I'm trying to see if there are any other, because there's still other mattes that I could swatch against these. So I'm kind of just like, but it's like I don't want the battery to like die while I'm doing it. So I want to swatch this shade as well. So I'm just take this shade right here from Matt's new palette, Mighty Monsters, up against Angie just to see. Yeah, so this is what all these look like. Now I need to go and change the battery, and then I will come back and give y'all some more. We still got 2 more palettes to go. So the sun is starting to go down, y'all, so I don't know how many more of these like reels I'm gonna be able to do as far as in sunlight versus, you know, a downtime, because she going down. So just be mindful that there might not be some toward the end. Comparing Angie's palettes, you might just have to go inside and I do it like with the camera in here after I get done with the swatches. But yeah, so those are all the ones we got from Annette and one from Tina. Let me see if there's any other ones before I start dipping into the Flora palette for Makeup Just for Fun, just because I feel like hers is the one that has the most, since they both did a lot. So like green, but she did purple as opposed to pink. Okay, so I'm feeling like for the most part it isn't. I want to make sure there's no like mustardy shades that I'm missing out on in any other palettes before I start swatching hers. But I don't feel like I'm missing any. So let's get into Makeup Just for Fun's palette. The only shade I would say I would swatch would be Electric Kelp. So maybe I should get that one out the way now, and I want to swatch it up against the shade Fluorescent, because I feel like Fluorescent and that one would be similar, even though I feel like What's Her Faces has more of a base to it. So I swatched Fluorescent first, then do Electric Kelp on the side of it. So if you want one with more pigmented base, I feel like you like what is it? Electric Kelp right here, and then this is Fluorescent from Angie's palette. But yeah. I don't know who all these people are following me, but it's pissing me off. Now I've got all bold out of me finally. Sorry y'all, I thought the color was never going in. Let's get into all these greens because it's just like a green emporium, for lack of a better term. So I feel like there aren't that many greens that match though, because I feel like she went for more of like the earthy greens and and she went for more of, you know, more bright fun greens like I expected. I know I can't swatch the shade Beauty up against any of these greens because they're not going to be the same. So there's actually not many greens we can swatch from each one of these palettes, because she has more ashier greens and Angie has more other greens. So we'll just swatch the 2 special shades alongside each other. The shade Dawn from Makeup Just for Fun, and then what's the double-sided, and then I'll swatch the purples. So I got double-sided. Here is double-sided, and this is Dawn. And then I want to swatch the shade River against Magnolia. I feel like those look pretty similar to River and Magnolia. So here is River. And here's Magnolia, so they're not really that similar either. And nothing else is pretty much matching up. There's this black shimmery shade called Complete. I feel like it goes good with one of Annette's shades. Well, actually Annette's shade is more purple based than that one, but I'll just show you so you can see that they're not similar since everybody's here anyway. So we got Complete alongside Skewed. vibe, if you will, because it's a mess down here, and Tina's is getting more of a traditional black, if you will. And the sun is pretty much gone. But since Angie's palette is so much bigger than everybody else's, I have so much, you know, more to swatch. So I was trying to get as many as I could from one palette. I mean, from all the palettes at a time on my arm. That's why it's so high up on my arm. So sorry about that. But when there's so many palettes that you have to get through, you gotta try to prioritize the best you can. And that's what I was trying to do. We are done with Helen now. Because there aren't any greens really I feel like that match up with it well. So on to the little ghost. Okay, yo, so here are all the swatches. So I couldn't get natural lighting, but it's the best I got right now, girls. So just a quick recap before we move on. Okay, yeah, so like I said, we're on to the little ghost now. So I'm going to start off by picking shades that I felt was similar. So I picked some, like I feel like this shade right here at the bottom, Magical, is really similar to one of the shades in Baddie Beans palette. This peachy shade definitely reminds me of the one in Tina's new palette, Earthwood. This blue reminds me of a shade in Tina's Hummingbird palette. These purples definitely can be found in other people's palettes, like Annette has a purple in her palette. Lots of them have purples in their palettes actually, but I feel like I want to try this purple shimmer up against Baddie Beans palette. So there's a lot of palettes that I feel like correspond with this one. Then like these couple of blues right here definitely give me the vibes of Lauren May Beauty Sea Talk palette. So we got a lot of stuff in this palette. Just reminds me of other palettes. Then like this whitish purple, like matte shade, I feel like I like Tina's shade better when it comes to that, because it's a purple that works better for people my skin tone. So we got a whole bunch of stuff to swatch with. So let me start it, girls. So we're gonna start off with the deep purple shade from Little Ghost. Y'all know Little Ghost was my favorite, so that's what I had to start off with. I'm just obsessed. And then I'm gonna take the purple in Baddie Beans palette called Kindred. We're gonna see how they look side by side. So here is Tina's palette, Angie's palette, Little Ghost, and the Baddie Beans Planet Spirit Atom palette. Then I want to get into some of the blues perhaps, or maybe we should just finish off the purple with the purple matte. So I think the purple matte, if I remember correctly, is in Annette's palette. Was that in Annette's palette? Yeah, there's a purple matte in Annette's palette. It's in the new one though, it's not in the old one. So this is going to be in the Mighty Monsters palette. So I know it's not going to be as deep as this one. So that's why I was thinking about maybe doing the one in the Flora palette, the Orchid one. But I feel like the undertone of that is wrong. But I'll go ahead and swatch both and then we can look. We'll start off with, of course, none other than Angie's palette. So Angie's palette to me is like more of a true purple. That's why I feel like Annette's will be better. Now Annette's is gonna be a little bit lighter than Tina's, so Angie's, so just bear that in mind. But you know, the birth is giving purple and true purple vibes, if you will. So this is Angie's. It gives me more of like a Orchard's grape type purple vibe, whereas Annette's just gives me more of like a traditional purple vibe, if you will, and not necessarily having that deep rich pigmentation of purple. So those are the two I want to start off with. Then we can swatch both the purples from Annette and Angie's palette when it comes to the shimmers, because the one from the Makeup Just for Fun palette to me is going to be a little too icy, and I feel like these are going to be more similar. So we're going to take Zombie from Angie's palette, and then we'll take the purple palette, even though it's more of a shifting undertone type shade, so they're not going to be exact. So this is the one from Angie's palette, Zombie, and then this is the one from Annette's palette. So I don't think I have a purple actually matches it. I can swatch the Flora one real quick just for people who want that as reference, but as you can see, this one is quite darker than the one that we just swatched. So that's why I didn't really feel the need to swatch it, because it wasn't going to give the effect that we needed to give. So I want to swatch Angie's purple against Tina's purple, even though I know Tina's purple is going to be a deeper one, but I'm just trying to get all the purples out the way. And this time we can just do it kind of like as far as colors go, as opposed to just swatching random things based on where my eye turns to see things that are similar. So I'm gonna take her shade Skeleton, the ashy like purple that works if you're a lighter skin tone, but not necessarily for people with my skin tone. But it's a good inner corner shade, so that's how I try to like look at it, instead of as a wasted shade, because I'm not the same color as Angie. And then we'll take Vitality, which is more of my type of purple for some of my skin tone. So this is Skeleton from Angie's palette. This is Vitality from Tina. As you can see, Tina's will work better for my skin tone. It doesn't look ashy on there at all. So if anything, I would combine Angie's with Tina's, and then that way this palette will work better for me. I feel like the shade Boo actually looks really similar to Maybelline Beauty's palette. So let's get into that one. This one right here, the Iridescent Shell. So I'm gonna do Boo up against Iridescent Shell just to see the differences, and then we'll get into the blues in her palette. Then we'll go back and grab the blue from Tina's palette, that lighter blue, if you will. So this is Boo right here, and then this is Iridescent Shell. So I feel like those actually look pretty similar on the finger, in my personal opinion. But you know, I feel like Angie just has a little bit more sparkle in it than Lauren Mae Beauty's does. So let's get into these blues. So I feel like the shade Creepy is really similar to the shade Ocean Jewel, so I'm going to swatch both of those together. Now I don't have a matte shade that matches her blue in this palette, but I will swatch the navy blue up against it just to give you all the idea. So this is Angie's shade Creepy, and then this is Ocean Jewel from Lauren. So they're similar in that sense when it comes to them having the blues in their palettes, and the kind of, I guess, tones of blues they pick are somewhat similar in my personal opinion. The shade Cobweb looks like it could be similar to the shade, what is it called, Aerosol in Giant Wolf, so I'll swatch that. But right now I'm just trying to get through these blues, so I'm going to swatch the shade Haunted up against Night Swim. Even though, like I said, I know they're not going to be the same, because Haunted is definitely giving more of a, like a periwinkle with gray undertone, in my personal opinion. And Lauren's is just a traditional, like, navy bluish shade. But I will swatch the shade Haunted House on the other side to give you all an idea. So, yeah, this is Haunted, and then this is... Sorry, this is Haunted, and then this is... What is this one? Night Swim, and then we're going to do Haunted House on the other side of Night Swim to give you all an idea about that. But I knew none of them were going to be exact. I don't think I have any blues that are exact to this shade. But when you swatch it, it actually kind of gives like a closer tone to that one. So I'm kind of shocked about it. But I was not expecting that at all, so I'm just kind of like, what's going on outside? Because it's not like the garbage truck was coming, but like I know the garbage truck isn't so speedy, so I'm kind of like confused as to what's happening. So I'll swatch the shade Azure on the other side of Haunted House, just so you see. So that's Azure on the other side of Haunted House here. From Giant Wolf. We're gonna take the, where's Hummingbird? We're gonna take the blue from Hummingbird and compare it to the shade Ghoulish, because her shade Clear Blue is a little bit lighter than that, but they do look similar enough to where I feel like we could swatch both of them and that'd be good. Now I don't think I have any warm tone shades that'll match it. There might be some warm tone shades in Baddie Beans palette that will match this, but otherwise I'm like, I don't really see too many of the warm tone shades matching what's going on in Angie's palette. So I'm swatching Ghoulish, and now I'm going to swatch Clear Blue. Clear Blue is definitely like lighter in undertone. So This one is clear blue and this one is bluish. Like I said, you can definitely see the difference when it comes to those shades and the difference in tones. I was shocked I couldn't find any blue that was similar to this one out of all these collections though. That's the thing that shocked me the most, but you know, since they're supposed to all be unique to the creator, I'm happy that I can't, because then I'd be like, dang, like y'all can copy everything from each other until it's just like, you know. So I got Cobweb next, and we're pairing that against Azure. I feel like Azure has like a yellow gold undertone, and I feel like Cobweb just would be like a traditional like kind of whitish champagne situation. So there's Cobweb down here, and then this is Azure from Giant Wolves. I think I'm gonna stop here because it's going too far up my arm, and I'll do the slow-mo add-in clip, and then we'll come back and worry about the small warm tones at the bottom. I know Red Heel from Hummingbird looks like it'll be similar to the shade Broomstick, and then I want to try the peachy shade in Earthwood called Life up against the shade Candy Corn, and then there's a couple of shades in Betty Bean's palette that I feel like, as far as shimmers go, will look nicely with the two shimmers that are at the bottom. She has one called Animalia that I feel like will be nice, and then I feel like her shade Fauna will look really similar to Magical. So we're gonna do those two after I get done doing my little reel, and then we'll get to finally end off with the Trick or Treat palette, girl. Okay, y'all, so remember we started off with the purples and Tina's, and Angie's palette. So it goes Angie, Baddie Bean, Angie, Annette, Angie, Tina. This is Earthwood. These two, I'm trying to remember what these two are. I told y'all earlier. Be forgetting. Oh yeah, these two. This is Angie's palette. This is Sea Talk. This is Angie's palette. Little Ghost. Sea Talk. Angie's palette. Sea Talk. Angie's palette. Giant Wolves. Angie's palette. Hummingbird. Angie's palette. Giant Wolves. So that's what all of this stuff was, just in case you forgot. Because child, you saw for a second, I forgot. It's a lot. Whew. Okay, y'all, we almost at the home stretch. We're at the bottom of the little Ghost palette. Let's get into it. I'm gonna take the shade Candy Corn, and then we're gonna put it up against the shade Life from Tina's Earthwood palette. Because from what I'm seeing, Tina's is gonna be a little more peachy tone, whereas Angie, of course, since it's supposed to be a Halloween palette, it's gonna be a little more orange tone. But I feel like I just end up mixing them together and get a nice little tone out of it. So yeah, so as you can see, Angie's is more orange and Tina's is more pink. So that's what we're working with there. Y'all went through like I think 3 makeup removal wipes just to get this video done. I usually only do like one probably like the whole day, but y'all know I don't usually like swatch or whatever, so I'm just over here like, I don't know how people that swatch do this all day. I can't. And next we have the shade Broomstick. Now we're gonna take Broomstick and put it against Red Heel and Tina's first collab, which would be Hummingbird. So those sides. Now Hummingbirds is definitely giving a deeper, more like orangey British tone, and I feel like Angie's is giving more of just a traditional reddish burgundy tone. So this is Broomstick, and then this is Red Heel. So that's what we're working with so far out of Angie's palettes. Now we're gonna get into Betty Jean's palette and get the shimmers out of there. So remember we're doing her special shade up against Magical, and then we're doing the shade Screech up against what is it? Animalia. So I'm gonna start with the shade Screech, because I was like the end of the special shade. Okay, so that looks similar to my personal opinion. Take Animalia. So Animalia's undertone is more like reddish, and I feel like Angie's is more of like an orangish peachy type undertone. but I feel like they give similar vibes, if you will. Not exact, just similar. Now we're gonna take Magical, and then we'll take Fauna, and we'll see how some of them goes or those undertones. And then we'll be on to the last palette of the night. Honey, the excitement I feel. So here is what it looks like. This is Magical and this is Fauna, and these are the end of the Little Ghost palette. On to Trick or Treat, girl. On to Trick or Treat. Hopefully we can get Trick or Treat done in one sitting when it comes to like on my arm and that's it, because I'm telling y'all that's what I'm hoping for. So remember, we did Tina's palette and Betty Bean's palette up against this palette, which I wasn't surprised about because I expected the more colorful palettes to have, you know, use Tina's and Betty Bean's. So here's the last one. This is the Trick or Treat palette. I was gonna come in right now. I was just talking crap about it disappearing. I was like, "Hi, I'll show you," and I was like, "Okay, well, no problem." So immediately, this shade Magic Potion is giving me the vibes of the shade. I think it's called. Is it Life? No, the shade Coast from Tina's palette. So I had to put Tina's palette aside for that. It's giving lots of orange and red, and I feel like there aren't that many that do that. I'm gonna swatch the shade Cemetery and Vampire Fangs up against Tina's original palette, which is, y'all know, the shade Red Heels. I'm going to swatch Hibiscus against Candy Cane. So again, we're pulling out Tina's palettes because Tina's palettes have a lot of color. So expect to see Betty Bean's palette put in as well, just because she gives lots of color. So the orange shade in here, I'm going to take from Betty Bean's palette, Habitat, and we're gonna swatch it against Jack-o'-lantern and Cauldron, because I know a lot of y'all said Cauldron and Jack-o'-lantern look similar enough to you, so you felt like we didn't need both. I can somewhat agree, but I did see the difference in the tones. As far as this dark brown shade is concerned, we actually don't have anything to compare to, believe it or not, because the ones in this Sea Talk palette are not deep enough. This has a red undertone, if you all remember from earlier, so I actually don't have anything to compare to this. I might compare this one to Vampire Fangs just to see, but I'm feeling like they aren't similar. Matter of fact, no, I'll compare this one to Cemetery just so we can get a comparison out of there. Then the green shade that shifts from green to blue isn't going to be similar to Familiar or anything else that we have, so I don't have anything to compare to that one. I don't have anything to compare to Potion either, because from what I remember, there is not a like bright green tone in here. Make Just for Fun shows a lot more muted tones, so there isn't too much to compare in here. I think we can compare the shimmer out of here though, like a shimmery shade here called Sunken Treasure. I know it's not going to be as deep or as warm toned as Angie's palette, but that's pretty much all I'm seeing. The shade Trick or Treat with like this reddish undertone, I don't see matching anything. I think I see a shade from Giant Wolf though. Wait, no, can't be Giant Wolf. Oh no, I see another shade from Earthwood, this dark green down here. So I'm gonna try to swatch them by palette as opposed to by how colors would go in order to get this done, because I only have like the orange out of here to swatch. So matter of fact, I'll just start with the oranges. So we're gonna do Jack-o'-lantern, Candy Corn, and then Habitat. Let's watch Habitat. So that way we can put Betty Bean's down, because I don't think there's anything else in here that's similar to hers. So here are all the oranges. This is Jack-o'-lantern, Candy Corn, and a Habitat. So I feel like all the oranges just look really similar in my personal opinion. I don't see a lot of difference when it comes to undertones like I was assuming I would. Oh wait, I have one more from here. I lied. Sorry. There's Full Moon. Full Moon looks really similar to the shade Majestic from Betty Bean's palette. So I'll do that one, and then we'll have them out of the way completely. So I'm just taking my phone so that way I don't have to try to pause to wipe my hands. Okay, so here is the shade Full Moon, and this is the shade Majestic. And I feel like Betty Bean's definitely doesn't have as much orange undertones I thought it was going to have initially when I saw it in the pan versus swatching it compared to this one. So that's just something to keep in mind. Do I have a yellow undertone one? No, it's more like a Well, I guess we can do a next against that. I don't know. I want to get the rest of Tina's out the way now because she has like 2 or 3 to compare to this palette. But we have done all we're going to do with Betty Jean, so we put hers to the side. Let's just get the neutrals out the way so that way I can end with the color, which is my favorite thing about all of Angie's palettes. So we're going to go into the shade Goblin. And I know it's not going to be similar to what we're swatching now, so I'm going to just do Goblin and Cemetery to compare to Driftwood to save us some time. So Goblin and Cemetery. And then we'll just put Driftwood next to both those. I know there's nothing deep enough to go with Goblin out of anybody's palette just based off what I remember about everybody's palette. So there's Goblin, Cemetery, and Driftwood. Those are the 3 that we're working with from the palette. And then we're going to take the shimmery shades. So we have the shade Deadly from Angie's palette and the shade Sunken Treasure from Mocha Beauty's palette. So Deadly, Sunken Treasure. Again, I know they're not going to match exactly because Angie's is more copper toned. So this is Deadly down here, and then there's Sunken Treasure right there. As you can see, Sunken Treasure is giving more bronze, and Angie's is giving more of that. Now we're gonna get into, since I don't have any mustard matte shades to compare, and I don't have any, I guess, let me check the shimmer and see, because I feel like it's trying to give like a similar vibe to, oh yeah, no, that's giving more of an orangish yellow vibe because I was going to compare it to Astral, but I'm feeling like it's not giving the same effect, if you will. It's giving more bronze orange, and that gives more of a yellow, like gold champagne vibe to it, so there's no point in swatching that. Yeah, so the rest of the shades look like they're just going to come from Tina's palette, so let's round it off and finish up this video with those. So I'm going to start off with the shade Vampire Fangs. Vampire Fangs looks extremely similar to Red Hill in my personal opinion. So I'm going to swatch it alongside Red Hill. Red Hill is a little bit brighter though, so just keep that in mind. So this is Red Hill and this is Vampire Fangs. It actually looks like it could have gone better with Cemetery than that, but either way it just still looks a little too bright for everything that we got going on, so that's not going to work. Y'all, I think I might actually have to finish off in a few minutes and take some of this off and do my reel, because I'm telling y'all, like, this is a whole lot, so hold on. Okay, so if y'all remember, we started off with Tina, so it's Angie, Tina, and then I'm pretty sure this was Chelsea. I'm forgetting. I want to say, I don't know why I didn't swatch the red from what's her face's palette, the red from Mighty Monster. So now I'm gonna have to go and swatch that up against, I think it's Candy Apple. Anyway, then we have these two. So remember, the rest of these are from the what's that palette? From Little Ghost. This is the bottom row of Little Ghost, and then all of this from this orange on is from the Trick or Treat palette. So remember, this is Jack-o'-lantern, Candy Corn, and then this is from Betty Jean's palette. This is from Trick or Treat, Betty Jean, Trick or Treat, Trick or Treat, and then this is Sea Talk, Trick or Treat, Sea Talk, Trick or Treat, and this is from Hummingbird. So that's what we're working with all right here. So all of this is Little Ghost, and then all this is Trick or Treat, and we rounded up Trick or Treat right now. Okay, y'all, with the home stretch, I swear. So this is the shade Candy Apple from Trick or Treat, and I put it alongside the red shade from Annette's Mighty Monsters palette. So that was the only red I could think of that out of all these palettes that would work, because the one in Tina's palette, the Hibiscus, is much too vibrant and has the wrong undertone. So goodness, I remember that one. So they're looking quite similar. Now I'm going to take the shade, what is it called? Oh yes, I'm going to be taking, dark green shade called Crypt Keeper, and in this palette, hers is called Moss. So we got Crypt Keeper against Moss. It's gorgeous. I feel like Moss is giving more of a satin effect, and so this is Crypt Keeper and this is Moss. I feel like they both look very nice. I'm definitely impressed with the pigmentation on both of them. Then we had the, if I remember correctly, we had the mint shades. They look really similar, so we're supposed to take the shade Magic Potion up against the shade Coast. So let's do that real quick. Magic Potion. Coast. So here's Magic Potion and here's Coast. Again, they're both giving similar vibes and tones that I'm definitely here for. And they definitely look real cute. Is there any other shade? Well, I guess we could put Deadly up against Strength. And what is it? Beach Sands. I don't think they're gonna have the same undertones, but since this palette's already open, might as well. So Deadly. And Strength, yeah. Hers are definitely giving more like traditional vibes when it comes to like the undertones, but this is Deadly, Strength, and Beach Sands. So I'm not finding anything that's really similar to that particular shade. I know none of these greens are gonna be similar, like I said, because the Witch's Brew has a blue undertone to it. It doesn't match anything that we have here. I guess I'll swatch the orange shade Swallowtail, even though it doesn't look similar, but you know, you might be interested. So here's Swallowtail alongside Deadly. I think we might actually be done, y'all. I'm trying to double check myself to make sure I didn't miss anything from any palette, because I almost missed the red shade from Annette's palette, and I'd have been like, oh, no about that. Excuse me. So yeah, I don't think I missed anything else. Nobody is matching the greens that she has in any of her palettes. So we are finally done. So here is what the swatches look like. Just give y'all a close look at the last ones I swatched. So that ends this swatch video. I dare not even try to do the lip swatch video today because child, this is going to take forever. I think I'm gonna just make that a short. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. Make sure you subscribe. Which palettes were you shocked that the colors were similar to is what I'm interested in hearing. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.